The bridge of the BRP Andres Bonifacio was tense, every officer acutely aware of the gravity of their mission. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the entire crew was holding its breath, waiting for the next move in a high-stakes game of chess. The silence was broken only by the steady hum and vibration of the ship's powerful engines, a constant reminder of the mechanical heart that kept them moving forward into uncertain waters. Occasionally the crackle of the radio pierced the quiet, carrying coded messages and bursts of static that hinted at the tension just beneath the surface. Outside, the South China Sea shimmered under the relentless tropical sun, its surface dazzling and deceptively peaceful, as if daring anyone to disturb its calm. Yet beneath that glassy surface, hidden reefs and shifting currents mirrored the invisible dangers that lurked in these contested waters, where every ship was both a symbol and a target. Captain Reyes, standing tall on the bridge, stared down the massive Chinese Coast Guard ship that loomed nearby, its presence a silent threat. His own patrol boat, dwarfed in comparison, pressed on with determination. Suddenly, the radio blared, a sharp, authoritative warning from the Chinese, demanding the Filipinos leave what they called their sovereign waters. The message was clear, but so was the resolve on Reyes's face. But Reyes knew these were Philippine waters. His mission was not just routine, it was a lifeline for the Marines stationed on a remote outpost, a matter of national pride and sovereignty. Every supply run was a statement that the Philippines would not be intimidated. The Chinese ship edged ever closer, churning the water with its powerful engines, trying to intimidate and force the Filipinos off course. The tension was palpable, every maneuver watched with hawk-like intensity. Calm but resolute, Reyes ordered a subtle course change, refusing to yield an inch. His crew responded instantly, their training and discipline shining through in the face of provocation. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, nerves stretched tight as the Chinese vessel cut aggressively across their bow, a maneuver meant to intimidate but met with steely resolve. A sharp blast from the Filipino ship's horn echoed across the water, a warning, a statement of resolve, and a signal that they would not back down. This was more than a routine patrol, it was a daily stand for sovereignty, a microcosm of the escalating drama playing out in the South China Sea, where every encounter could tip the balance. On this October day in 2025, as the world's superpowers watched and maneuvered from distant capitals, the fate of the region was being shaped not just by diplomats and politicians, but by the courage and resolve of those on the front lines at sea. While tensions simmered at sea, with patrol ships and maritime security vessels locked in a delicate dance, the world's attention was fixed on the South China Sea. The standoff was more than a test of nerves, it was a contest for influence, resources, and the future of the region. Away from the waves, new alliances were being forged in the halls of power in both Washington and Manila. Diplomats and leaders met behind closed doors, determined to chart a new course for their nations. In late 2023, the US and the Philippines signed a landmark energy pact. This agreement went far beyond oil and gas. It laid out a comprehensive blueprint for energy security, aiming to shield the Philippines from regional instability and to counter China's growing dominance in Southeast Asia. The deal promised not only US investment, but also the transfer of advanced technology and expertise. American engineers and Philippine workers collaborated to unlock the country's own energy reserves, reducing dependence on costly imports and boosting local industries. Crucially, the pact included ambitious renewable energy projects, solar, wind, and more, signaling a decisive shift towards sustainability. US corporations became deeply involved, bringing capital and innovation to the Philippines' green energy sector. By July 2025, the partnership expanded with a broader trade deal. The US imposed a 19% tariff on Philippine goods, a move that sparked debate but was seen as a calculated step to protect American industries and balance trade flows. In response, Manila lowered tariffs on key American products, opening its markets to US agricultural and industrial goods. This reciprocal arrangement aimed to deepen economic ties and foster mutual growth. Both governments framed these moves as strategic. Protectionist, yes, but necessary to strengthen their partnership and build resilience against external threats, especially in an era of global uncertainty. President Marcos Jr. championed the deals as vital for Philippine sovereignty and economic growth, betting on the US alliance to secure the nation's future and elevate its standing on the world stage. President Trump, in turn, praised Marcos as a strong and reliable partner, declaring the agreements the dawn of a new era of military and economic unity between the two countries. Together, these pacts signaled a united front, an alliance determined to shape the balance of power in a region under mounting pressure, and to secure a more stable, prosperous future for both nations. For the Philippines, the energy pact could be transformative. Decades of energy insecurity and high costs have stunted growth. Imported fuels left the nation vulnerable. Now, with U.S. technology and investment, the Philippines could finally unlock its own oil and gas, especially in contested areas like Reed Bank. Chinese intimidation has long blocked development, but American involvement brings new deterrence and hope for sovereignty. For the U.S., the deals open lucrative markets and reinforce a key alliance, countering China's influence in the Indo-Pacific. The trade deal, despite tariffs, favors American exporters and ties economic benefits to strategic goals. Ultimately, Washington aims to strengthen the Philippines as a resilient ally, capable of resisting coercion and contributing to regional stability. These agreements send a clear message to Beijing. The U.S. is committed to upholding order in the South China Sea. The region is now a central arena for great power competition. China's response was swift and fierce. Beijing condemned the U.S.-Philippines Energy Pact as a direct provocation and a violation of its sweeping South China Sea claims. Any joint exploration, especially with U.S. involvement, is seen as an illegal intrusion into what China considers its territory. Chinese officials warned of serious consequences, backing their words with aggressive Coast Guard and militia actions at sea. For China, the real threat is external interference. Beijing insists disputes should be settled by regional claimants alone. The U.S. presence shifts the balance, emboldening Manila and undermining China's leverage. Accusing Washington of militarizing the region, China has vowed robust responses to any exploration in contested zones. The path to Philippine energy independence is now fraught with peril, as the South China Sea grows ever more turbulent. The dragon's roar is a warning. The stakes have never been higher. In the face of rising tensions, the U.S. reaffirmed its security commitment to the Philippines under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. Washington clarified, any armed attack on Philippine forces or vessels in the South China Sea would trigger U.S. defense obligations. This ironclad promise is a powerful deterrent, raising the stakes for any aggressor. The security guarantee underpins the new economic and energy deals, giving American investors and Philippine leaders the confidence to proceed. It draws a clear line for China. Gray zone tactics now risk direct conflict with the U.S. The South China Sea has become a flashpoint where global powers' interests collide. Southeast Asia is watching closely, and nervously. Vietnam and Indonesia, both wary of Chinese pressure, see the U.S.-Philippines Pact as a test case. If Manila can safely develop its resources with U.S. backing, others may seek similar partnerships. Vietnam, with its own untapped reserves, could be next to formalize security and energy ties with Washington. Indonesia, facing Chinese incursions near the Natuna Islands, may also move closer to the U.S. Yet, many in the region fear being caught between superpowers. Economic ties with China run deep, and stability is paramount. For now, Southeast Asia balances hope for security with caution over escalating conflict. The U.S.-Philippines agreements are part of a broader American strategy across the Indo-Pacific. These deals are not isolated events, but rather calculated moves in a much larger game of influence and power projection. The Indo-Pacific has become the world's most dynamic and contested region, where economic growth, security interests, and great power rivalries all intersect. On the same day as the Philippine trade deal, President Trump announced a massive trade pact with Japan. $500 billion in Japanese investment targeting U.S. tech, energy, and defense. This agreement signaled a deepening of economic ties between two of the world's largest economies, and sent a clear message to competitors like China that the U.S. is strengthening its alliances. These bilateral deals are designed to align economic and security interests, binding key allies more tightly to the U.S. By weaving together trade, investment, and military cooperation, Washington is building a network of partnerships that can respond to both economic shocks and security threats. For the Philippines, it's about resisting Chinese pressure. For Japan, fueling a technological race with Beijing. Each country has its own motivations, but both see the U.S. as a crucial partner in navigating the shifting balance of power in Asia. Critics in the U.S. warn of trade-offs. American automakers, for example, face tough competition and barriers in Japan. Some worry that these deals may benefit foreign companies more than American workers, raising questions about who truly gains from these agreements. Still, the pattern is clear. The U.S. is using trade policy as a tool of grand strategy. By leveraging its economic power, Washington aims to shape the rules of the game and maintain its leadership in the region. These deals create a web of alliances, but not without domestic and international complexities. Negotiations are often contentious. and the outcomes can spark debate both at home and abroad. The stakes are high, and the outcomes will shape the region's future. As trade routes shift and new technologies emerge, the decisions made today will echo for decades. The Philippine Pact is just one piece of a much larger geopolitical puzzle, one that will determine not only the fate of nations, but the direction of global power in the 21st century. The US-Philippines agreements have redrawn the map of the South China Sea. Manila now stands at the front line of US-China rivalry, with energy independence and sovereignty within reach, but at great risk. China is unlikely to back down. Expect more aggressive tactics at sea. The key question: will any confrontation cross the line that triggers US intervention? If the partnership succeeds, it could inspire a network of US-backed alliances across Southeast Asia. If it fails or sparks conflict, others may retreat, leaving China's influence unchecked. The region's future hangs on a knife's edge, between hope for stability and the fear of devastating miscalculation.